come closer. Let's talk about perioral dermatitis. 9 times out of 10, the most requested video I get is, please Nadine, talk about your perioral dermatitis. Or, thank heavens I found you and you spoke about your perioral dermatitis because I've been suffering for years. And I happen to think that modern skincare routines are causing a lot of perioral dermatitis, especially if you're overusing active ingredients. So what is perioral dermatitis? It is tiny papules and pustules that have a tendency to appear around the nose, down the nose to mouth lines there, the nasolabial lines, and then down the marionette lines here. They can also appear around the eyes. So they can be periocular, perioral, or paranasal. And I've pretty much had all three in my time, and it was originally triggered probably the better part of 20 years ago as a beauty editor when it was my job to test weird and wonderful treatments. And I was at a spa having an Ayurvedic treatment, and this sort of paste was put on my face that was full of crushed plants and extracts. And I couldn't understand a word that was written on it because it was written in, I would imagine, some sort of Indian language. I mean, it was just beautiful packaging, but my skin did not like it at all. And from that day on, I was battling perioral dermatitis, and it would come and go depending on how I felt, depending on the weather, depending on the skincare I was using, which at the time was pretty much standard cleanse, tone, moisturize, and a lot of it was fragranced. So I wasn't really helping. And I battled it for years, and I used to cover it in concealer. And what happens is when the papules and pustules break, they tend to release just sort of clear fluid, but it's quite painful, very itchy, very red, and then it goes really, really scaly and unpleasant, and any makeup you put on top tends to sit in it. So it ends up looking really dry and quite crusty. And I was incredibly conscious all through my 30s. Shout out to my really good friend Jackie Ripley, because she sat in the room next to me having exactly the same facial, and we ended up battling it together for years. Now, one day I was sitting at an aesthetic doctor's office. I think I was about to have some Botox. And so I cleansed my face off, and she said, you do know what that is around your nose, mouth, don't you? And I said, no, I don't. It's just a sensitivity. She said, no, it's perioral dermatitis. And what you need is you need to stop using hydrocortisone cream on it, because the chances are you're using hydrocortisone cream, which is exactly what I did. If ever I have an allergic reaction to something, it could be sort of a sensitivity to a new product. I, in the olden days, used to use hydrocortisone cream on it. You can get hydrocortisone cream over the counter easily, 1%. Technically, you're not supposed to use it on your face, although it is safe to use for short periods of time if you've got an allergic reaction. The problem is that perioral dermatitis is not an allergic reaction. If you go to your GP, the chances are they will palm you off with this. And this is the worst thing for perioral dermatitis. A, it's a cause of perioral dermatitis, but B, as a treatment, it tends to knock it back for maybe a week or two, and then it comes back bigger, better, and badder. So the first thing you need to do is stop the topical corticosteroids. It's not a good idea at all. And then what you actually need is a topical prescription metronidazole stroke flagyl cream. And I go for the strongest 0.75%, and this is Rosex cream, and you can get it on prescription. You need to ask your GP for it. And they are going to say to you, who is this Nadine Baggett? Does she have any medical training? Go away and use the 1% hydrocortisone cream. Please don't. Please nag for Rosex cream, not Rosex gel. It has to be the cream. The gel is based in an alcohol. So as perioral dermatitis is a breakdown of the barrier function of the skin, and then sort of, microorganisms get under the surface of the skin and cause the irritation. What you need is the cream, which is much more gentle. So this is Rosex 0.75%. I will never go anywhere without it. And that's the cream that the minute I feel the tingle and sensitivity, I slather my skin in. And if you get the cream, it will not sting at all. Now, shout out to both Lloyd's and Superdrug Pharmacy, who will prescribe it. If you take a photograph close up of your perioral dermatitis, go online to their pharmacy and pay for an online consultation. That's the easiest way to get it if you can't wait for your GP, or if your GP is unsympathetic and thinks that Nadine Baggett doesn't know what she's talking about. Not medically qualified, just a perioral dermatitis sufferer, can I just say. That should knock it back probably within 2 or 3 weeks. If it doesn't, you might need a prescription for an oral antibiotic if the infection, which is caused by the breakdown of the barrier function of the skin, gets so bad, and I've seen such bad pictures, where people have just left it and have used steroid creams on it for ages and it gets so bad, and then sometimes it's treated as acne and you're putting acids on it and that's the worst thing for it ever, then you might need a prescription. And there are two. You can use tetracycline or erythromycin, and you might need a short 6-week course. But if you can try and nip it in the bud with that, I promise you that is your magic cream. I never go anywhere without that. When I got it around my eyes, I was prescribed that as well, which is Elidel cream, and this is pimecrolimus, which is actually an immunomodulator. It works on the T cells and the cytokines within the skin to stop your skin from overreacting to something. So if you consider that perioral dermatitis in the big scheme of things isn't that much of a problem, but if the barrier function of your skin breaks down and microorganisms and funguses and airborne irritations can get on it, then you end up with this overreaction where your skin is basically popping out these white blood cells to try and sort of shed the irritants that are landing on your skin. That's essentially the only way I can describe it. So you can use Elidel. If you start with Rosex, it's a stepped approach, and that doesn't work, you can try Elidel. But eventually what some people do need is they need an oral course of antibiotics. It's as simple as that. Now, how do you manage it once you've got it? I did a live with Sam the other day, Yashiri, who actually suffers from rosacea. And he uses a lot of essential oils in his routine. And I just sort of was cringing, because for me, the biggest thing I absolutely no cannot use on my skin is I cannot use any essential oils at all. Lightly fragranced products, not so much a problem with a rinse off product, but essentially essential oils are a no for me. So I have to go back to basics, and back to basics for me would be always La Roche-Posay Toleriane. This is their range for sensitive skin. This is the dipeptide serum that I think is just wonderful. The interesting thing about both of these, so this is the night cream, the Toleriane night cream. They have a day cream as well. I would use that night and day. And the serum is, they don't sting your skin, because when you're getting a breakout of perioral dermatitis, virtually anything, even tap water, can make it itch and sting so much. It's just really unpleasant. And then you need a barrier repair cream as well. So I would use those during the day. Even though that's a night cream, it's very light. Then you need a barrier repair, and I've got a couple of here. This is a Rhode Barrier Repair Cream, unfragranced and beautiful. And if you've got the budget, then obviously the epidermal repair from SkinCeuticals is lovely. So I always have a couple of epidermal repair products, and then it's all unfragranced, gentle, absolutely no essential oil skincare ever. One tiny bit of advice I have to say is you will want to cover your skin in makeup. And I'm not going to say don't, because it's really hard to go out with this sort of horrible red rash that looks a little bit like you are a teenager and you've been snogging somebody with like a close stubbly beard. So you're going to want absolutely to wear makeup. So my advice would be go for unfragranced makeup if you can get it. I mean, I do think Clinique makes some of the best. But do wash your makeup brushes, because once you've got this breakdown of this barrier function, you have to be super stringent on keeping everything clean, absolutely everything. And so I'm going to give a shout out here to Clinisoothe, which used to be called Clinicept, and this is the skin soother. I very rarely travel without this now. And it's a spray on hypochlorous solution, and I can actually spray that directly onto my perioral dermatitis if ever I get an outbreak. Smells slightly bleachy, and then what it's for essentially is it will kill any surface microbes on your face, but more importantly you can cleanse your makeup brushes with it. And if you use a click based concealer around your eyes or around your nose or around your mouth, and you don't, because you can't clean those brushes, you really should try and clean those brushes, even if it means sort of getting a little bit of water onto the base and then cleaning it. But actually the easiest way to do it is with that. So you would just spray that onto the brush of your click based concealer, and all of your makeup brushes, once you've cleaned them, give them a good cleanse in sort of baby shampoo and rinse them off. But you can use that on those click based concealers, because they're a major cause. Because if you think about it, for the length of that concealer, you do not clean that brush, which is a bit disgusting. So that is Clinisoothe Skin Purifier. I can't think of anything else that I'm going to say apart from please don't suffer with it. Go online, go to Lloyd's and Superdrug. Their online pharmacies are amazing, and do get some of this, which is my little skin saviour. It's a gold standard. It's the Rosex 0.75, and it's the metronidazole cream, not the gel. Again, don't let anybody palm you off with the gel. It's a very, very fine line between looking for emollients and something that will repair your barrier function and knock back the irritation that's caused by the microbes. That's it. That's perioral dermatitis. If you've got it, I feel your pain so much. I have had people in tears leaving me messages because it is so heartbreaking when you get it if you've never suffered from your skin. And a word of warning, steer clear of super strong acids, daily use super strong acids. Be careful never to put an acid here or here or here, or a retinoid here or here or here. Just those lines. If you see where your skin, as you get older, you'll notice those lines. Do you know that when cosmetic companies test for sensitivity on any of their products, they always use it here, and they test for a reaction? It's a standard reaction for a sensitivity study of a new product, and that's because this area is highly vascularized. But not only that, it's a dent. So any product you put on tends to sit in little pools here and here and here if you've got lines, and that's why if you put an acid on or a retinoid on, it tends to migrate and then sit in a thicker line here and here, and that's why I will never put an acid here or here or here. The one time I got a little patch under my eye, which was very, very sore, very painful, was when I accidentally was putting an acid on my face, and I must have had some on my hands, and I scratched my eye, and I ended up going to bed with a rinse off acid under my eye, and that took quite a long time to heal. It normally takes after a really bad bout, between 2 and 4 weeks for it to really recover, but it's a stepped approach. Start with your Rosex cream, go on to your Elidel cream if that hasn't worked in a couple of weeks or 4 weeks, and then sadly oral antibiotics, and then from then on, remember, absolutely no essential oils in your skincare. I tend to avoid fragranced skincare, heavily fragranced skincare, pretty much full stop now, but essential oils are an absolute 100% no-no. There you go, that's perioral dermatitis. Any problems, slide into my DMs, send me pictures. Gone are the days when I used to get the sexy pictures. Now I just get skin rashes. Welcome to my world. Let me know what you're using and what you think works on your perioral dermatitis. Huge shout out to La Roche-Posay, Toleriane, and also to Curel as well. I love Curel products. I haven't got any here at the moment, but they're pretty much a go-to standard set of fragrance-free products for sensitive skin as well. I'll put all of the details of all the products down below.